Testing. Testing, testing. All right, I think we're ready. So, hi y'all. Cash Vault back again this evening on Friday, July 12th, 2024 at 11 p.m. PST. So, without further ado, let us finally get into this discussion and review. So, I normally, tend to do this all the time just before putting in my discussion and review, but I think my um rating and discussion about this seventh episode of The Acolyte may kind of match what online is saying about this. So, without further ado, let's get into it and I'll show you guys what I mean. We don't need that. All right, so according to on Google, it's definitely telling us that pretty much an analysis of The Acolyte episode 7 of the Star Wars Disney Plus series is definitely getting some backlash, like always, because we can definitely see a lot of the highlights are saying the Acolyte recap. It's the seizing of the witch. Um, what what's a virgins in the Force? Well, that's probably been answered. And what does the Ringer also say on their source? Episode 7 recap, the Jedi blame game. It's pretty much like a whole flashback going back to the start on Brendock with the witches in the Jedi's perspective or point of view. So, I think that is all that I want to point out here, unlike what others have said on the net. So, we're going to stop share and we'll just get right into it. So, starting with episode 7 titled Choice. So I'm going to give my rating very quick on this, so it won't be too long and probably too repeating, if you will. So I also have chat open, so don't worry, I'm reading that as well. Um, yep, Scottaplyer's finally in. Nice to see you. Um, so Scottaplyer, you said it was a middle of the road episode for me. It was okay, but it shouldn't have been a pure flashback episode. You are reading my mind. I totally agree with this. So, the same time, excellent and really, the same drama. We're just having kind of a repeat. It was excellent to show the backstory of Osha and May about what really happened that night on the planet Brendock. The planet of the witches cult that they came from. There's really nothing totally new here, except the fact that the Jedi want to share their side of this feud with the witches of Brendock. It's just becoming a waste of watching, in my opinion. So, we can only see the perspective of the Jedi Council as they interact with the scene of Master Soul going into the feud of May and Osha's past on Brendock. Seriously, just move on. Mind your own business. It's not that complicated. I have to seriously admit, from my opinion, that the writers of this series are just becoming more lazy and are sticking with past events and re-explaining them and not moving forward. This seems to be a series of like so-called galactic grudges and unforgiveness. Those are like traits of like immature people that you would find on the street of a poor neighborhood fighting each other until one of them is declared the crown winner. In this case, between Osha and May. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that. It's definitely a repeat from Soul's perspective with a few twists and reveals that tie up the story. Yeah, I agree on that. It's like nothing really new here, just a couple of new throws at us here and there, but they're like so minor. It's like, we don't even need that. It's like we can kind of already tell already. We don't need like the backstory on every little tree branch, as so what some authors say about their books. Like uh you guys probably know the author George R.R. Martin, who did the Game of Thrones novels. Well, his opinion when he read um there was talk that he read the Lord of the Rings trilogy books from J.R.R. Tolkien. And his opinion about Tolkien and his writing was that, okay, we don't need the backstory on every single character or every little tree branch. Just get to their part of the story and just get through it. So, in a way, he was all about zipping through the story. And in a ways, I have to agree on George R.R. Martin about this whole Acolyte series. It's like, okay, we don't need a whole re-explanation about how this came to be or why this person was like that. Can't we just get the whole story moved on? I mean, the Wookiee lightsaber fight, I mean, those were obviously some great moments. Sure, but it's like that how long did that really last? But anyways, it was the first time we've ever seen a Wookiee fight with a lightsaber. I will give the Star Wars Acolyte writers that. But I will say this right now. I would rather turn off this episode just because I cannot really take the unnecessary drama between these two twins of the galaxy anymore. I'd rather turn on episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, which of course was not an episode of a series, but a whole film. It had much better script writing, visual effects to see on the big screen if show again in theaters, acting, soundtracks, and so-called points of life. Not to mention the politics they put in that film, it makes much sense with the similar politics going on across the nation and the world today. That's what makes Revenge of the Sith one of the best Star Wars films in the entire franchise, according to ratings. So it's like, Master Soul, you completely lost me with your decision to butt in on their lives and Brendock. You should have just informed them, your whole master team, to retreat and just get out of their way back to Coruscant. Their lives are their business. The Jedi have their own. I believe that Soul had let his own personal feelings get in the way of the Jedi mission on Brendock. Just like what Obi-Wan said about Anakin when he was a Padawan, do not let your personal feelings get in the way. So it's like, in a way, I don't think Master Soul makes a good Jedi Master. I mean, emotions can certainly get the best of us and can sometimes make us lose ourselves from what we really are. But I mean, come on, Disney. You're already showing us lifetime lessons that should have been taught to us as kids when we grow up. Performing these lessons and scenarios and adults is like, come on, maturity versus immaturity. I don't even care what anyone says in the comments or in the chat of this live discussion. It's totally a failure on my ratings, I'm sorry to say. Once again, both great and bad at the same time, but I'm aiming a little more toward the bad side on this one. I'm sorry. Not moving forward, staying on one damn subject that should have been settled years ago from this present timeline in the episode. I was talking about this episode, by the way. I'm now just going to be turning on episodes 1 through 6, then episodes 7 and 9. Episode 8 in the film franchise was completely unnecessary to me. And sorry, Acolyte, but you've just lost my interest of a good Star Wars series. I'll still watch the further episodes, though, to discuss and review the future episodes. So don't you worry, YouTube. I'm still not going anywhere. I will at least review all that is to come for the Acolyte series. Again, I am really sorry that this rating of mine is not really satisfactory or very amusing or enthusiastic of this episode, but that's just what I truly felt after seeing it. It's like, we could have some better stuff. So, yeah, I have to agree with the online critics of this one. I mean, they're just saying it's a whole recap. It's playing the Jedi blame game. Oh, they were to blame for what happened on Brendock and what happened between these children. I mean, sure, the most tense scene I've seen in this episode 7 is when May had witnessed the death of her mother right in front of her when Soul accidentally destroyed her with the lightsaber. It's like, okay, but that was not intentional. I mean, he didn't mean to kill her. So, I mean, it's like, they seem to not really think the whole thing through. They just jump to conclusion too quick because they're all blinded by anger. There is just one episode left for next week. Well, episode 8 seems to close season 1, and because of the poor ratings that this whole entire series throughout this season 1 has been getting online, so much bashing, I kind of doubt that Acolyte writers would want to do a season 2. Because not only were they getting like criticism from fans watching it, but even from the own Disney company. Even the Disney board didn't think that it was a good series. And Bob Iger, CEO, said so himself. He says that it could have been a lot better, and about the whole entire writers of Acolyte, now that they're starting to open up and tell Disney that they are like so-called woke activists. And I mean, sure, I'm all for that. But I mean, at the same time, they should have just remained neutral with those stuff and keep their opinions to themselves. Because not everyone is on the same page, at least not yet. So I have to say that probably concludes my discussion and review of this episode of Choice. Um, at the same time, little good, mostly bad, I have to give it. I still think out of all of them, episode 5, as we said 2 episodes ago, was so far best one I've seen, where they've had the Sith and Jedi battle in the Dark Forest. So that is, I think, all on today's topics. Let me just go through my notes quick. Oh, let's see. Scott Applier, what have you said? There's one episode left for the week. The strikes from last year didn't help either. Yeah, and guess what? Disney has now finally unionized. So Iger believes that Disney could be in a huge, huge troublesome situation because thousands have been threatening to walk out of the Disney parks for strike, which could damper park operations. So, oh, Disney, you're just barely holding on. And he was also sad to report that they just wasted $16 billion on a $16 billion project or projects to come that did not happen. So, oh God, Disney, you're facing big defeat here. I sure hope that it does not go down. And at least I hope that the parks can remain okay because, you know, I'm a big Disney fan. I'm a whole-time Disney-holic. I hope to someday go back to the parks when it's not such a busy year and we're not spending so much expenses on fixing stuff and for our houses and whatever. Hope that we can find a good year, maybe next year, to start saving again and budgeting for another holiday Disney trip. So that is kind of off topic, isn't it? So I will see you guys next week, either Thursday or Friday night, same time, 11 p.m. PST. I don't know which day yet, but I'll keep you guys posted because next week, starting Sunday, which will be July 14th, it's my first day back at work from FMLA leave. So I don't know exactly what my entire week schedule will be. All that I do know is I start again on Sunday, so I'll have to see what my schedule is. So, thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to press that like button down there when you get a chance to or when you can click it. And comment down below after seeing this live on your thoughts of this Acolyte episode and how good standing do you think that Disney is at right now. Also, if you have missed this live, you can always go into the lives playlist on my channel. It will be archived so you can see it again later. So, I will see you guys